I wish to call to order the Board of Directors meeting of the Solid Waste Management District for Monroe County this Thursday, March 11th, 2021. And we will begin with a roll call, please.
Munson,
Here.
Thomas, Githens,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here.
Piedmont Smith,
Here.
Jones, Swafford. You have a quorum.
Thank you. And to start this meeting off for the public, right, we welcome back one of our longtime staff members, Mr. Scott Morgan. We're very happy to see you, Scott.
Thank you.
Glad you can join us. So in your packet, you have the agenda, and I don't want to comment much on the agenda, except it's not long. But I don't want to say anything else because that could jinx the length of the meeting. Included for your information are the Executive Committee meeting minutes of February 1st of this year. And also we have the Board of Directors meeting minutes for February. And maybe we have a motion regarding those minutes.
I move approval of the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting of February 2021 as in our packet.
Second.
Thank you. Board members, any comments or questions on these minutes? Thank you. We'll have a roll call vote.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now let's turn to Ms. Hudson for the controller's report on cash flow.
Okay, our operating balance is at $2,387,180.03. Our closure debt bond is at $7,741.16. Our capital is at $45,413.60, and the landfill post closure is at $761,546.03.
Do we have any questions about our cash flow?
Thanks for that pretty
good.
chart. I appreciate it. It shows us continuing to build reserves.
And
Good
I just want to make sure that everybody did see the corrected operating cash flow that was attached with the claims that were emailed out yesterday. Error on the
Yes.
figures for the personnel services category and the one that's in the packet.
So thank you for sending out the correction in advance of the meeting. I think that's helpful. With no questions on cash flow, let us turn to Ms. Hudson's presentation on claims.
Okay, we've had approved claims, and they are in order of pre-approved at $91,190.70. Today, we're asking approval of $51,476.66 for a total of $142,667.36.
Thank you. Ms. Piedmont Smith, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if for next month we could get an overview of the leachate hauling expenses, maybe since the start of 2020, just so we can see monthly what it's been and if there've been any trends. And I think it's helpful to have those comparisons.
Thank you.
I can put together something. I mean, I keep track of everything, so that's not a problem.
That'd be great.
The last page of the packet is always a leachate generation report that does show hauling data, treating data, precipitation data for the current 6-month period and the same 6-month period from the year before. Mr. Polson can put more together than that if you would like to see a bigger picture than that, but we do try to provide that to you every month.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't scroll down far enough in the packet. Yeah, that's helpful. Does it have the costs as well, or just the
Yeah, it's
amounts?
got the cost in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well, my bad. Sorry. I will take a look at this then.
Okay.
the last column is the best. It's called cost savings.
And by all means, if you want more detail or a longer time frame, just let us know. And I mean, Mr. Paulson has that data. We can put that together.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a whole year would be helpful, since it seems to go back like 6 months on the.
Yeah, I can put together 19, 20, and so far 21.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think Ms. Piedmont Smith may have some of the same concerns that I do, in that it is hard to look at weekly claims sent out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this big, huge number for leachate analysis or hauling or some other aspect of the leachate treatment process. And we have to think, oh my gosh, all right, we've done this before. This is what happens. It's especially large in the winter time or after an extended period of rainfall. But we just try to do our very best with the claims without being there day to day, knowing all the expenses that the district takes on. So thank you. Well, let's have a motion then. Oh, Mr. Hamilton, you have a question?
I have a comment, and it's not the greatest time, but it's about personnel and expenses, and I'll just throw it in here since it's part of claims, and I don't know if I can wait till the very end of the meeting, but I just wanted to note and encourage the solid waste district to consider the city has decided to offer a wellness benefit to all those who get a COVID vaccine shot of $100, just to encourage and recognize this is a way to keep all our community healthy and each other healthy. And I don't know if we have a benefit administrator who can do that or how to handle that. But since we're talking about claims, I think that's money well spent to encourage and support our employees who do that. And if you want to talk to our HR person, be happy to do that. And so it's just a comment, not a question. And sorry to interrupt in the claim side of this, but thanks.
That's okay. Thank you for suggesting that. I think we should take this up at our next executive committee meeting so that we can then be prepared for the next board meeting. Does that sound good? Okay. So
all right.
if there are no other, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to go ahead and get a motion on the table. I move approval of payroll and claims as presented in our packet with the additional claims that were sent via email yesterday.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, board members? All right, let's have a roll call vote then.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, we have important discussion about the controller position. And Mr. McGlasson, would you like to lead this discussion?
Well, I can try. I guess I tried to put as much information as I could in the memo that's included in the packet. But as the board was previously advised, Shirley Smith had resigned her position as the office manager. And as is precedent of the district, we advertise openings internally before we advertise publicly. And we had 2 internal candidates for the office manager position. One of which was Ms. Hudson, who is our current controller, had an interest in switching over to that position. And after vetting the candidates, it was determined that she was the best candidate and was offered and did accept that position. with the caveat that she would remain in the controller position until we were able to fill that. So, so what you have in your packet at the staff, I guess specifically myself and Ms. Hudson, were asked to review the current controller's job description and provide any suggested revisions to that for the board to consider, which is in your packet. And as indicated in the memo, the controller position does report to the board of directors. So any changes to that would need to be approved by the board. If you wish to make any modification to that based on what's in your packet or anything else you see fit, it would have to be done at this meeting under a vote of the board. And then additionally, since the position does report to the board does need to determine method, manner, to what extent you wish to be involved in the process of vetting candidates, interviewing candidates, and then ultimately the offer of the position to the controller to any candidate or candidates would need to be done by the board. So so that's where we are. So you have the controller's job description with the suggested revisions from staff that have been reviewed by the executive committee. I'll also have a draft of a job posting that we would use to advertise for the position. And then we would need some direction from board regarding the process in which you would like to move forward with filling that position.
Thank you. 3 of the board members at this meeting reviewed this already as part of the executive committee's charge. And so let's just open this up for the first of 3 things. We have the job description. We are to make a decision on how we want to handle interviews. And then the third item would be actually a board action. Hopefully that we can do this at the next board meeting, and that would be to extend an offer. So, Ms. Piedmont-Smith?
Yeah, even though I am on the executive committee, I caught 2 things in the job description that I had a question about.
Okay, let me go.
So
Can you refer to the
page 26.
26, okay?
Under responsibilities, general tasks, in the 3rd bullet point, it says responsible for receipting and depositing of all district revenues, daily bank deposit, posting to general ledger. Are there daily bank deposits? Is that?
Yes.
That is
yes.
something that happens.
Yeah.
Just wasn't aware.
Yes,
is that-
we get money from the HHW daily,
Okay.
Mm,
I was just trying to think what would necessitate. daily.
and we get checks in the mail, but I've got a machine that does that for me. So, but yes, we do get cash in from HHW.
Okay, and so you physically go to the bank and.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then the other question I had, it may just be a typo or just something I'm not understanding, is on the next page, page 27. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4th bullet point, it says make financial reports of district fund and present reports to the board. That should be funds plural, shouldn't it? Because there's more than one fund.
I think, yes, we have more than one.
Yes.
Okay.
It would make more sense to be plural, yes.
Sorry, just a tiny thing, but better to be accurate.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I feel very good that there are 3 of you who've gone through this at the executive committee. So far be it from me as the 4th wheel to, I didn't see anything. If you all are comfortable with it, I am, so.
All right. Let's move forward then with a motion to approve the amended job description, including the change noted just now.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Munson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So let me ask Mr. McGlasson a question. When will this job opening be advertised?
Well, I mean, with the approval of the job description, and then assuming that there are, no issues, concerns with the provided job posting, or we can correct anything necessary at the meeting tonight, we will have it posted on our Facebook page and on our website tomorrow.
Okay.
Contact HT to to make arrangements to get it advertised in the paper as quickly as we can. Probably we'll also look at some online services like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, things like that, to get it posted as well.
Good. I hear the commercials from those companies, so.
I guess and then along those lines, one thing I did forget to say earlier that is in the memo, or I referenced when we filled the office manager position, our precedent is to offer internally when we have these openings before we publicly advertise. And I think given the qualifications necessary for this job, it would be prudent to go ahead and advertise internally and publicly simultaneously. With the caveat that if we have any internal candidates that are qualified for the position, we will vet them before we vet external candidates.
That sounds very good to me. Okay, so I want to ask if it's possible for the Solid Waste District to post this open position on the county government website. And maybe that's a question for Mr. Baker.
I think that is fine, Cheryl. I don't see any issue with that.
Okay. And then equally, we should ask Mr. Hamilton if the city ever publicizes job openings for related departments.
I'm happy to. Why don't you pass it to Caroline Shaw, the Human Resource Director, and she can take a look at that.
Okay.
Happy to help if you want her to. Okay.
I'm just interested in having the position opening have the widest distribution and attract the best candidates possible. So, good. Okay, now we need to make a decision on how we want to handle the interviews. And I think one possibility would be to have a committee of at least 2 from the board, or to have the executive committee do this. And I'm very sorry we don't have our other board members here to comment on this today, but this is what it is.
Well, we could put them on the committee. That wouldn't be fair, though, probably. But I'm comfortable if the executive committee wants to take it on. I think that'd be great. Unless you guys feel that's too much to do, which I understand. But you're awfully close to everything too. So there's advantages that way. But if not, you may not have signed up for that. I don't know.
If I could interject real fast and point out in the job description, it does note the position reports to the board of directors, but also works under the general supervision of the executive director. So I would request that I be included in the vetting and the interviewing process.
Of course.
I took that as a given.
Right.
As a given. So, Ms. Piedmont Smith, Ms. Githens, your reaction.
I would be interested in being involved in the process, but I don't have a lot of bandwidth these days due to the burdens of my day job.
When I was reviewing all the notes, or, you know, the agenda for today, I thought, my goodness, I haven't been involved in hiring anybody for probably close to a decade. I feel like it's a lost skill, definitely. So, it's not something that just anybody can do really well. I'm not trying to back out of it. I'm just saying that I'm a little rusty.
Well, I don't know if I'm rusty, but it's not something I do every day either.
I just hired somebody, so.
Oh, wait a second.
There you go, Isabel.
That's why until they start, I am still snowed under.
Well, what do we envision as the time frame for when, I mean, are you going to give a cutoff date for when you're going to be receiving applications? Like, is there going to be a 2-week window, or what is it going to be?
I mean, for something like this, I guess my initial reaction instinct is to just advertise that the position will remain open until it's filled. And then we would just vet candidates as they come in, and probably, give a 10 to 14 day window before we would start, but I wouldn't want to close it in case we do not wind up, after that initial round with a candidate to make an offer to, or a candidate that accepts the offer.
Okay.
Well, I should have more time in April. So if we're not going to review applications until the beginning of April, then I could participate in that.
Okay. So I'm happy to work with the executive committee on this. And we'll just soldier on. Okay. So is there anything else regarding the controller's position before we move on? Okay. Let us now consider the resolution that's in our packet, 2021-04. And Ms. Piedmont Smith, would you read this very familiar resolution? You can skip whereas.
All right, so this is resolution 2021-04 to amend resolution 2021-02, which amended resolution 2020-12, an ordinance for fixing salaries for calendar year 2021. Be it ordained by the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors, Monroe County, Indiana, that a resolution shall be passed fixing the number of employees whose salaries are payable from the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Fund or budget, except as herein provided for by IC 36-5, and that for the work periods of the calendar year 2021, beginning March 21st, 2021, through December 31st, 2021, they are hereby fixed the maximum salaries. And then there is a list in the various departments, which I will not read. And that's the extent of the resolution.
So that's your motion?
I move that the resolution that I just read, the skeleton of, be approved.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have a second. So this is basically a housekeeping matter, but Mr. McGlasson, would you like to explain the reason for the change?
Yeah, and when we, with Shirley Smith resigning and Connie then moving over to that position, it got us looking at the salary ordinance, and it was noted that for those two positions, there was the maximum fixed amount listed was an annual sum, and just felt that it was more practical since both of those positions this year moved from 40-hour-a-week positions to 25 for the office manager and 30 for the controller, that it would just be more practical to list those with as the hourly rate. so we know what we're doing for the controller in particular, where if a situation arises during budget time or whatever, that they go over that 30 hours a week.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from anybody? Comments? Let us have a roll call vote then.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have a presentation about the solid waste management plan update so we can see where we are in this process. Mr. McClassen, is this your lead?
Well, I guess I don't know that I would phrase it as a presentation per se, but as indicated last time, there seemed to be an interest in just kind of leaving this on the agenda as a discussion item moving forward as we go through this update process, just as an opportunity for people to provide updates, ask questions, make comments, with the updating of the plan. So I did include a memo in your packet that referenced, I believe, the next agenda item. The CAC has a report. They have probably done more with regard to the update at this point than anybody else has with their subcommittees and the various meetings they've been having. And I'll let Mr. Winnie and or Mr. Conway update you on that. I also provided a brief summary of the discussion we had under this agenda item at the February meeting for your reference. And other than that, we're continuing, to move it forward and as indicated in the summary, eyeballing a July time frame to have a good draft, of the updated policy ready for then, so that it can inform the budget process for 2022, and we're moving forward.
Very good. Questions or comments from anybody? Ms. Piedmont Smith?
Yeah, I was just wondering if Mr. McGlasson had any update from the O'Neill students, the class. I imagine they're just getting started, but have there been any other communications with them?
I have. I got a first draft of the survey that one of the groups in the capstone class is putting together. I've given them some feedback on that. Asked for some, some additional questions to try to gain some additional information. But I thought they had a good draft. They're balancing, as we've mentioned before. They're also working some stuff for Green Camino and or Fable Farms into this project. So in that survey, they're balancing getting the information that the district is interested in, as well as the information that Green Camino is interested in. But I think they had a very good start, and I think we'll have a good survey sooner than later to get distributed to the residents.
Great, thank you.
So I have a question on this. How is the survey to be conducted?
That is, I guess Indiana University has the ability through the internet, through their web. So I don't know if it's their web page, but they have a web service, and they have the ability to do these surveys electronically via the web. And that's the plan, is that the university will house the survey on their web service. And part of what we're still figuring out is, how are we going to get people connected to that link to get to the survey? And obviously, our social media, our website, hopefully Fable Farms Green Camino website are ideal, logical places to do it. I think Professor Waldman is working with some homeowners associations, trying to get some email listservs from them where it could be distributed. I haven't talked with Elisa yet. I thought maybe, the district might be able to work with some of the radio stations that we routinely do advertising with to do PSAs and direct people to our Facebook page or our website to get the link to the survey. And But the details and the exact specifics of how we're all the various ways we're going to try and get that disseminated are still being worked out.
Okay. So I think other possibilities might be the websites for the county, the city, and the town of Ellettsville. And also, how about our Comcast posts? Are they change? Can these be modified for a time while this survey is going on?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the weather crawl is something we could do probably very easily.
Okay.
Doing it on the actual broadcast TV or the premium digital on demand, we would have to produce the 30-second spot to do that. So not that it's impossible, but might be some cost associated with that we may or may not want to incur.
Okay.
They can't run a banner across the bottom of the existing.
We could talk with our producer about doing that. I think that we have done that with a couple of ads in the past where we've added that banner to them instead of reproducing the whole 30-second spot. So we can look at that too.
Great. Any other comments on the update? Well, I did note that there are two upcoming meetings, and I hope I can attend at least one of these, because CAC has been carrying the water for much of this discussion, and I would encourage board members to try to attend any plan update meetings that they can work into their schedule.
I appreciate that, and I'll just note I appreciate the inclusion and the collaboration with some of our city cabinet department heads have been participating, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to explore some mutual goals and interests, both from public works and sanitation, as well as economic sustainable development. So we look forward to continuing that discussion and collaboration.
It's very important. I'm very glad we have this. So if there's no further discussion on the update, let's turn to the CAC report, and that might spark some further questions. Who's presenting today? Mr. Winia?
Indeed, I am ready to present. Thank you.
Welcome.
So since the update was provided for the packet, there was a second meeting of the Source Reduction Subcommittee, and that was the first meeting to be hosted by County TSD. There was a mention at the last board meeting in February about getting County TSD to host the subcommittee meetings. So we did accomplish that, and it was successful. And rather than provide a summary of that meeting, I will instead note that there are now notes files for each subcommittee meeting that are located in the CAC's Dropbox account. And I'd like to take a moment to quickly highlight some of the important items that are in the CAC Dropbox file structure and where they can be located. If I can do a screen share, which it looks like I'm able to. And in a moment, you shall see this is the CAC's Dropbox folder. And the most important item within it, relevant to this update, is the subcommittees directory. And I know at the very least, this is open to viewing rights to everyone who has a link to the folder. And I think I'll have to verify with Tom, but there's also, yeah, it looks like the full read and write access is currently for CAC members. But that's
I guess I'll real fast. I'm looking at it. I'm going to have to. I've not shared that folder with the board. So board members, I will get a share an email out to you tonight or tomorrow, sharing the link to that folder.
Thank you.
And I also, if I can locate the chat service, we'll send you a link to that. I'll do that after the screen share is complete. So for the time being, if you want to just follow along, the subcommittees folder is where there is another folder for each of the existing subcommittees. And if I take the source reduction as an example, which is the last meeting that we had just held, there is a notes file in there that contains our sort of collectively contributed summary of the content of the meeting. And additionally, for each subcommittee, if you're interested in going all the way into the nitty-gritty of what the CAC is doing, we have a working document where we're doing our asynchronous collaboration in between actual meeting times. And we've allocated space for chats, for discussion items, and then at the end, we will be having all of our final goals and objectives that we're defining. So that is the case for all 4 of the subcommittees. And in addition to those 2 files, the notes and the working document for each subcommittee, there's a third important file, which is here in the subcommittees folder, and that is the subcommittee scheduling file, where it gives a summary in a Gantt chart format of the timing that we're trying to maintain. And each of the objectives are allocated times and color-coded. And then the red flagged items are the meetings that are taking place along these time periods. So you can see that our 4 subcommittees are represented. And then as we get into May, we will be working on the compilation of our contents into a draft. And I've also noted the board meetings and the CAC meetings that are held over this time period.
Okay.
So that is, I guess, all that I have to update, and would like to also offer the opportunity for questions.
So, well, I'll start with a question. And whoops, your calendar disappeared.
Oh, yes, actually, I did that so I can send you, I am sending in the chat the link to the Dropbox folder, so that if anyone wants to access it on their own device, they can do that right now. I'll return the screen share.
Okay.
There we go. I'll bring us back to today.
There we go. So I believe the first formal time for board input will be in May. Is that correct? Could you slide to May?
Sure.
Where it says board.
Here's April, May. So this will be the May 13th is the date of the board of directors meeting for May.
And we would expect to have a draft in our packet for that meeting. Is that correct? Or are we going to?
Let's see. Actually, it'd probably be a good idea to make that happen. That aligns rather well, and I hadn't incorporated that into the compilation objectives for the draft, but if we were to finish it up, looks like just a few days earlier, around the 7th or the 6th, that would be...
then it could get in the packet.
Yeah.
And actually, the executive committee reviews all the business of the district that's likely to come before the board about 10 days in advance. I'm going to see if I can find my meeting for April. It's on Monday. Well,
are you looking for the next CAC meeting or the one after that?
I'm looking for not the CAC meeting, but the executive committee meeting.
Yeah, executive committee meeting. The next executive committee meeting is March 29th.
March 29th.
And the one after that would be May 3rd.
May 3rd. And the board meeting is on the 13th, so May 3rd. So it would be helpful if we could have a draft about the last couple days of April in time to get into our packets for the executive committee meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Is that doable, do you think? Or should we try and?
We could also review it in June.
Yeah, I did also have in anticipation for the original objective was to have the draft finalized before the CAC meeting on May 20th. And then based on the collective response of the CAC was when we would address potential reworked items before having a more final CAC draft. But I mean, the draft itself will be available within the CAC's Dropbox folder and will be accessible at any point during its progression, and just be a matter of its state of or draft revision. So we could try to target one that is at least more than skeletal, I'll say. So something compiled before the executive committee meeting, but I don't know that we'll be able to, since we'll be finishing up the last couple of subcommittee meetings just in the preceding couple of weeks, have enough time to have an officially completed draft, even a full first draft.
Right. So it does look like it's likely to be in June.
I think that would definitely allow time to have a full first draft in a presentable form. Okay. And also on that subject, there was mention at the previous board meeting about a collaborative board CAC joint meeting on the topic. And I think that at least this calendar might serve as a good gauge for an ideal time to have that meeting. If it's scheduled outside of an existing previously scheduled board meeting. Or I guess either way, for the board to be able to determine when within the process they would like to have a joint meeting.
And I think when that was suggested, April and May were thrown out as possible time frame for that joint meeting to occur. Maybe based on what's just been discussed, looking at sometime in May might be a more optimal time than trying to do it in April.
I think so.
And from a CAC standpoint, I don't think there would be a disadvantage to doing it in April. It would just be more in the conversation stage than the compilation stage. So if you wanted to be involved in more of the conversation and sort of influence of the thought process, then earlier would probably be better. Whereas afterwards, we'll be formalizing the discussions we've had before.
I would leave that to the board. I guess from my perspective, part of the purpose of keeping the board informed of the subcommittee meetings and all of that and encouraging them to attend was to give them that opportunity to involve themselves in the discussion process of it. And
the CAC would welcome board member collaboration at any time.
So we just didn't have the dates of the meetings in front of us, but we will, having the access to the Dropbox. So,
so would it make sense maybe to have a joint meeting after the last committee meeting of the CAC?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I've got to jump off for another thing. Are we okay on votes? Because I think, do you need any more votes?
Yes, we're fine.
Okay, okay. So very sorry, but I've got, thanks.
Okay, well, I think the last committee meetings may lead to some reworking. And I wonder if our joint meeting could not be after our May 13th board meeting. Rather than trying to find another day and time, just extend the length of our May 13th meeting.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much guidance or direction we want to give the CAC.
Right.
If we want to just leave it in their hands, I don't want them to start writing a document that we then say, wait a minute, that's not what we wanted.
Right. So
that's why I was thinking after their committees meet, they will have a bunch of data and ideas, and then we could maybe discuss.
Right. So about the end of April?
Yeah.
That'd be fine with me.
Okay. If you would like, I can put a doodle poll or something together to try to gauge availability and get something scheduled.
I think that would be good. Additionally, I think it would be helpful to have at some point information about the outline of the plan.
Okay.
And I guess I'm a fairly linear thinker, wanting an outline. It would help my reviewing to see an outline in any case.
Well, I can be sure to provide one when it becomes available.
Good.
At this point, I anticipated that structuring to come into place really after the discussions were complete from the subcommittee meeting. So that would be around the end of April.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe, I can work with you in the CAC. I think we can use some of the other districts' updated plans that have been made available to us that are in that Dropbox folder and kind of look at how they're laid out and use those maybe as a guide, an outline for our outline, and put something together and to figure out how we're going to order things in the plan that we write.
Okay. That would be helpful and appreciated.
Great.
Are there any more questions? Or
anything further, Mr. Winia?
I did. I guess not as a portion of the update, but as a follow-up to the previous board meeting. Wonder if there was any response from Mr. Farmer from the town of Ellettsville. There was mention about getting his interest and engagement.
I sent an email to him, but have not heard back.
Okay. Then that concludes my comments and update.
Thank you very much for
Indeed.
both. And thanks to all the CAC for their work on this very important task. We really appreciate it. And we're really glad to have new eyes, new minds. We're just the same old people, and we need the freshness that you can bring to this. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, let's turn to department reports and begin with Mr. McGlasson.
Just two things to bring to your attention. The virtual green business series that we've been doing in partnership with the city's Economic and Sustainable Development Department. That fifth session is scheduled for March the 24th at noon. And if people are interested in registering for that, the session is covering green strategies to reimagine, reframe, and redefine businesses. And anyone interested can register by emailing sustain@bloomington.in.gov. And then secondly, just to remind people or let them know if they're not aware, we are again this year doing an Earth Day promotion, selling the compost bins and rain barrels, again in partnership with the city's Economic and Sustainable Development Department. The website to order is gogreendistrictorders.com, all one word, gogreendistrictorders.com. The deadline for ordering is April the 5th. And we have currently have 2 pickup dates scheduled, April 17th and April 24th. And when people make their orders, there should be an option in there for them to select which pickup date they would like, and they'll be notified of that location.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, board members? Thank you, Mr. McGlasson. Do we have a report from Mr. Morgan?
We sure do.
We've been missing your report.
In my absence, there was a number of staff changes, and I don't know if you guys have been apprised of those or not, but I went ahead and put them in the report. Have you guys been made aware of all the changes that have taken place?
I think so.
Okay. Then the main thing I want to focus on is the status of the gravel lots at the sites. It doesn't make sense to do gravel work yet, but it's going to be in April probably, just in time that we're just a little too close to plowing snow yet. So we want to wait till we're done plowing, and we'll get all the sites really gussied up, and they'll do good rather with all their gravel work. So that's the main thing I wanted to focus on today.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I have one.
Please.
In your report, Mr. Morgan, you said you had attended the HHW task force meeting, and you mentioned a grant that was received. Is that a grant that the district got, or can you tell us more about that?
No, that's a grant that Dearborn County got from the task force, and they just gave a report on the proceedings from that grant.
Oh, I see. Okay. It was a report.
We've given out 4 grants, I think, to date.
Is that something the district can apply for or has applied for? I'm not sure what the grant is for.
They can. It's for HHW education. It's only for $150, $200.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're not talking major dollars here or anything like that.
Okay. Well, we probably do a pretty good job of education here.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So, in some of the districts in various counties around the state are very, very small and underfunded or maybe unfunded.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking they probably don't have education specialists like we do.
Yeah. So I have a question for Mr. Morgan. It's about the trash and recycling tonnages and pulls. Have you had a chance to compare the 2020 results with previous years and to make any general comments about this?
I really haven't. How about I put something together and present it to you at the April board meeting?
Oh, that'd be very nice. Thank you. I guess I just want to know what's up, what's down, what's staying the same. I think it'll help us all. So very good. Well, let's turn then to Mr. Paulson's report.
Yep, Lee Paulson, Landfill and Compliance Director. The only thing out of the report that I would highlight is we finally received our final report from AECom in regards to the November groundwater. Got that all taken care of and submitted to the state. There wasn't really anything out of line with the past several sampling events that we've done. And things have been pretty much part of the course with that. So that's a good thing. We're just kind of waiting right now is with COVID and items availability for them to go through that and agree to what we've pretty much just doing what we're doing now for the May event, because that's not too far away now. So, but yeah, and other than just Mary Beth and myself kind of being really overwhelmed with the amount of roadside cleanups right now, it seems like once the snow melted, there's 100 people calling about 100 different things that we're trying to do the best we can to address with our normal stuff. So we just ask people to be patient, and we're doing the best we can.
So is there a need for more roadside cleanup teams?
Well, I don't know, teams. I mean, some of this we can kind of say is seasonal. Like we usually see an uptick in stuff. I personally, looking at things, I see more on the side of the roads than I think I've seen in the past, but it's hard to say. I mean, it's been a weird year. There's been a lot of people home and doing different things than they've done ever in the past. So it's, we're just trying to get through it. There's just a lot of it right now. It just seems, there just seems to be a lot. So, but we're hoping to, Mary Beth is doing a good job, and she's trying to engage our adopt a road groups as the weather's been better to try to encourage them to get out and try to tackle some of these things. And herself and myself has reached out to some community organizations to try to see if they're interested in doing some community cleanups to try to assist with this. So, I mean, we're doing what we can, but it just seems like it all, like the snow melted and there's this poof, there's tons of it. So,
yeah. So thank you.
Yep.
So next we have public comment. And do we have any public wishing to offer a comment? Please raise your hand if so. And I see none. And then we have comments from the directors. So last chance for Ms. Githens and Ms. Piedmont Smith.
I just want to applaud the work that the CAC is doing. This is amazing. This has not happened for many years. So thank you.
I just like to say that we also value our longer term CAC members, not to discount their work. But I think everybody is newly energized by the new folks on board, and it's so well organized. I'm very impressed by how things are going. And so one more time, I wanted to say, Mr. Morgan, it's good to see you back, and hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just comment that I think the city of Bloomington and Monroe County, and probably Ellettsville as well, although I don't follow very much what goes on for the town of Ellettsville. We have boards and commissions on which many members of the public serve, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve, and we don't hear enough about their work, and I hope this will change. It's something that I think the public would like to know more about, and I think the newspaper used to pick up on occasional articles on this board or that commission, but certainly that hasn't been the case in recent times. So the more we can tap the expertise and knowledge of our citizens, the better we are in all aspects of local government. So thank you to everybody who participates. If there's nothing further, this meeting is adjourned, And we will meet again on April 20. Do I have that right? No, April 15th.
April 8th.
April 8th. It
Yeah.
is it's the second week.
Second
Yes.
Thursday, yes.
Yep. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a month.